Hey everybody, this is Bradley Benner with Lead Gadget, and this is training webinar number 8. It is April 30th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and we have a few things we're going to go through today as far as some slides and talk about some updates that should be completed this week. I know it's Thursday evening, so they should be completed in the next day or two or a couple days. So we're going to go over some of that, and we're also going to talk about the case study that I set up last week and just a few other small updates. And then obviously if there's any questions that come up, please post them on the event page. Hopefully you guys are all, those of you that RSVP'd are going to be here anyway. So with that, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking without going into the slides that I've got prepared. So let me get that open and we'll get into that. And as you guys trickle in, just add questions or whatever to the actual events page, okay? Give me one more moment. I need to get a producer to come on these with me so that we don't have any downtime. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take the screen for now. Okay, so training webinar number 8 or week 8. First thing I want to do is talk about some updates that Brian put out in a post on Facebook in a short video that he did a couple days ago. And these are the updates that should be available or actually added to the ATM within the next day or two. All right, so we have backlinks indexer already integrated. That was integrated last week at this time. Instantly grab the PLR for content use. That's the PLR that should be available where there's like over 3 million pieces of content, which is great because that's going to cut down on expenses for having to purchase content and everything else. The logo creator, most of us that have been, we've been using it in already. So now it's going to be integrated into the actual ATM, which is pretty cool. That's actually really cool. Like I'm the worst person in the world of graphics, and I've actually been able to produce some pretty decent banners in my mind with the logo creator. It's awesome. The tag generator no longer screw up tags. Yeah, Brian's mentioned that to me that there's, some people are trying to put too many damn tags in their sites, and that's kind of an issue. I stick to about 12. I don't really do any more than 12. I know some people like to do more. I think Brian says to stick between 12 to 15. I found that 12 is like the sweet spot for most of the stuff that I do. And so that's been working really, really well. And what's interesting is the tag pages end up ranking a lot of the times, which is kind of unique to these big, large directory type sites. It's not that case, that's not the case with smaller, more normal or traditional style sites. So it's pretty cool how that works. It kind of blew me away, but the tag generator is going to reduce the errors that people are receiving by trying to stuff too many tags in, number one, or if there's some sort of syntax error in their tags, like a space or something, that some special character or whatever that's causing problems. So that should help resolve some of those issues. Click to add custom list values into the field, any field on the content page, not just the article body. That's interesting because I'm not sure what that means yet, other than I guess the custom list tags that we're creating, like the short tags, the short codes, I should say. If we're able to use those in other areas besides just the content body, I'm pretty sure that's what that means. But we were, I thought we were using them in the, the titles and stuff like that too. So I'm not 100% sure what that one is, but we will find out soon enough. I promise you that. The keyword tool for Google Suggest, guys, that's huge because I use a tool now that it's an external tool. Obviously, it's called Power Suggest Pro, and that's like hands down my favorite keyword tool of all time. And it's essentially just a suggest tool. It scrapes Google Suggest, YouTube Suggest, Amazon, Yahoo, eBay, several YouTube, several of them, and I found some killer keywords using that tool because it's not generally they're not keywords. It will reveal a lot of keywords that are not being bid on by AdWords, which is what we use when we go to Google Keyword Planner, right? Those are like AdWords keywords. I mean, that's essentially what that. Trust me, Google doesn't make the Keyword Planner for SEOs. It makes it for people that are buying pay-per-click advertising. So a lot of the keywords that show up in the suggest tools, if it shows up in suggest, it's getting traffic, period. I don't care if it doesn't have metrics in the keyword tools It doesn't show search volume, stuff like that. I could care less, because if, as long as it shows up and Google suggests, it's getting traffic, period. And so I have found that to be probably my favorite keyword tool on the planet is this, it's called Power Suggest Pro, but apparently that's what the keyword tool is that Dawn is coding into the ATM. I haven't played with that version of it, but as long as it scrapes Google Suggest, it's going to be very, very powerful, guys, because you'll find some gold nugget keywords that you can rank for that have little competition, but are definitely getting traffic, or else they wouldn't be in Suggest. Okay, so very cool. That's a great addition. If we can keep everything on one dashboard, one unit, one interface, it's going to save an enormous amount of time, and it's going to save money, because you're not going to have to buy all these other tools and content and all that other thing, pay Fiverr gigs for banners, and everything else. So this is really cool what they're putting into the ATM. Automated way to add domains to the cPanel, Cloudflare, and the ATM without worrying about user error, typos again. Guys, even I've made mistakes with that a couple times. For example, one of the sites that I've built that I've used in some of the training, guys, was on the sexyseo.co domain, right? And so just out of habit, always typing .com, when I was typing in the domain into adding it to the ATM, I typed in .com. And I tried building that site like 4 times, and it just kept, it wouldn't build. And I ended up pinging Dawn in Skype and saying, look, I'm having an issue. You take a look at it. And he hit me up a little while later and said, you dummy. and I was like, and it was because I typed out .com, and it was just because of habit of always typing .com, and I just overlooked it, and it drove me nuts. And I wasted a good, hour and a half time trying to figure out what the hell was going on, and it was my fault the entire time for having a typo. So the ability to be able to do that all at one time without having to worry about typos and stuff like that, guys, is going to save a lot of hassle, a lot of support tickets, a lot of unnecessary load on Dawn and support for having to go in and check stuff that is a lot of the times our faults without us even realizing it. Okay, so that's pretty huge too. Clone content for reuse. I heard Brian's spiel about that as well, and I totally agree. If you find a set of content that you use, like I know you guys have seen in the training that I've done so far, like I always, whenever I do a site build, I create a notepad file that I basically keep a copy of that entire page, with the full page with the tags and the meta description, the content title, the short codes, and then I copy the source code of the actual article body and paste that into the notepad file. And so every single site that I've built has got a corresponding text file or notepad file that has a complete copy of that page, so that when I find one that performs particularly well, I don't have to do anything other than add another subdomain onto a domain and go copy and paste content and build a site. I mean, literally, you can bang out a site in under 10 minutes. And it's fabulous because it works. It's so fast. And the thing is if you have any spun content, any spinner paragraphs or whatever, which I'm going to talk about that in a minute too, when I finish talking about the rest of these updates, then it's going to make it unique anyways, right? So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you duplicate content, whatever. Just build the sites and let them rank. And if it doesn't do well, then build another one, and chances on the next one will. So, cloning the content for reuse, that's pretty cool. I'm assuming that what that feature is going to be is, how now when you set up a site and you click the WP button and then you go deploy the site, that content disappears from your content screen. In other words, it's not something you can't go back in and click the WP button again on the next build. It's gone. So unless you've kept a text file or a notepad file of that content, you'd have to go rebuild it again, right? So I'm assuming that the clone the content for reuse is going to be the fact that content will still remain there, or you can hit a button and it will make a copy of it, that sort of thing. So add internal linking structure. That's huge. I'm really been waiting for that. I'm salivating over that, because we're going to be able to start building silo structure within these sites, which are going to make them so much more powerful, guys. As soon as that's available, I'll be digging into that, and I'll be doing training on that specifically, because I've been building silo sites for, I don't know, 2, almost 3 years now, sites with silo structure, and it's incredibly powerful for ranking. And these sites, I can only imagine how well they'll do when we can actually build silo structure into them. from the build, before deploying them. So that's huge. I'm really looking forward to that. You guys should all be excited about that. It's going to make these sites rank even better. I promise you that. Spin Rewriter, that's a good spinning program. We've all been using it externally or something similar. I like Spin Rewriter. It's simple to use. So the fact that we're integrating that into the ATM is good. Once again, not having to go to external programs is going to save time and money, although you're going to have to purchase a license for Spin Rewriter. It's not bad. It's worth it. And the fact that it'll be available inside, you'll be able to spin content inside the ATM. That's going to save time. Okay. And lastly, Copyscape. That's up to you guys if you want to use it. They're just integrating with the API, so we'll be able to check Copyscape if we'd like. And to check the uniqueness of your articles and that sort of thing. So that's pretty cool too. Right now, once again, it's an external thing. I think it costs I think it's 5 cents or maybe it's a half a cent, something like that. It's really, really cheap to check content. You like buy a Copyscape premium account, you dump $50 in it and it lasts you, a couple months. So that's something that you can do to check the uniqueness of your content. So those are the updates that I really wanted to cover. Just kind of give a review of what Brian put out the other day for those of you that might have missed that video in the blog, the Facebook post. Really excited to see a lot of these guys. It's going to make it so much better for us. So I'm really looking forward to them being done. Again, I checked on the inside the ATM just before this webinar, and they're not updated yet, but they will be here shortly. So you should be excited about those as well. All right, let me check, see if we have any questions. Just Ganty. Hey, Ganty. Good to see you, buddy. You are definitely a trooper because you're always here for these webinars. So thank you for attending. That's great. If you have any questions, Ganty, just post them on the page. I'll get to them in just a moment. Okay, next update that I wanted to mention was that we've had some issues, a lot of issues actually, with a lot of people trying to make these site builds with too much spun content and everything else. And I want to take partial responsibility for that because I've been doing this kind of stuff for a very long time, and I do a lot of advanced spinning stuff that apparently a lot of newer ATMers, or as Brian calls it, the lead gadgeteers, have tried. They've seen my training videos I've talked about it in the webinars, and you guys have tried to go out. A lot of you have tried to go out and replicate the level of spin that I use and screwed up the builds, or they time out because it takes too long to build, blah, blah, blah. There's this isn't for all of you. Obviously there's some of us or some of you guys in the group that are doing quite well, but I have to take responsibility and say that I should have probably refrained from that. I just assumed that people were going to pick up on it, and be able to learn that skill. It's something that takes a lot of practice to get really good at spinning stuff. Guys, it's a lot of tedious practice too, trust me. And Brian swears up and down, I don't have any data other than what he tells me, that you don't need to spin at that level for these sites to work. And I believe him 100%. Okay. I just out of habit do that because I've been doing this for a long, long time, and old habits are hard to break. So when it comes to public training from now on, guys, there's going to be a lot less of that coming from me. It's going to be more about getting the content up and getting the sites deployed. If you guys decide that you want to, try to get into more deeper spin or whatever, that's going to be entirely on you. It's not going to be on me. Okay. So I just need to make that real clear up front, because there's been a lot of support tickets that have gone in that have said, well, we just did what Brad told us to do. And I didn't tell anybody to spin anything to that level. I just showed you what I do. And apparently I shouldn't have showed you that. And so I just want to make it clear that from now on, what comes out of me is going to be more on a basic level, because I want to make sure that you guys are building sites and not getting stuck or hung up and, lost in the weeds. Okay. Don't get stuck in the minutia and the details. Just start building sites. And as you build more and more sites, you'll get more comfortable in the ATM. Your builds will get better. You can start to, take on more advanced techniques as you get better at building. But if you're just starting out, just do what Brian showed in that webinar where he was standing on the mountain, pounding his chest about carports, and just follow that instruction and, put up a piece of content with a spinner paragraph and let it go. All right. And then when you start to see some results and everything, and you built, several dozen sites, then you can get a little bit more advanced if you'd like. But that's going to be, again, not because I told you to. Okay. Don't put it off on me. All right. So I just wanted to make that clear. I think that's something that needed to be addressed, and that was requested of me to address that with you guys. Okay. And so, anyways, that said, let's move on. Let's see. No other questions. Okay. I don't know if it's because it's late or because it's springtime or what. All right, guys, I want to talk about now the updates for the case study that I started putting together last week, which I thought was a great idea that somebody posted about, saying it was just a question that kind of turned into a case study now, but this is going to be a several week case study. It's going to be an ongoing thing. So we will cover this every single week during every webinar. There's going to be a portion of it that's going to cover updates concerning the case study. And I think this is going to be valuable information for, for selfish reasons alone, so that I know, but also that I'll be sharing with you guys. Okay. Now, again, I'm not going to share the niche that these sites are built in, but it doesn't matter. Okay. But so what I did last week, as a matter of fact, I probably should have put a couple of slides in overview of what the case study criteria was. However, I did use some extra spun stuff that I don't want to display that again. That said, the domain, I basically bought 8 domain extensions. That's these right here: .website, info, biz, us, co, org, net, and .in. And I built 8 sites using the same content on all 8 sites. Okay. There was nothing different about the content. It was spun content. Yes. It was just like I said, I set up the way that I always set up my sites, but it was the same piece of content on all 8 sites. And the only difference is the domain extension and the title variations. Okay. Because remember that's the most important keyword that you're trying to rank for is your content title. It should be your content title. Okay. And so instead of building all 8 sites with the exact same keyword, I took variations of that keyword and built sites differently. And that will have an effect on the outcome of the case study. But I think it's nominal, it's minimal enough, okay, because the rest of the content is the exact same. It's that I know that some titles will rank better than others, but I really won't know that for sure until after the case study, has some age, has some, we've gotten further into it, is my point. So, so with that said, I built it all on subdomains because I never build on the root. Okay. I mean, or if I do build on the root, it's just a placeholder. It's like I put an HTML page up or a standard WordPress install with just a home page on it or something like that. All my builds are always done on subdomains. So all 8 sites were built on subdomains, and the subdomain is the exact same. Okay. So like, let's just say it was best.domain.website or best.domain.info, best.domain.biz. You guys get what I'm saying? So it was the exact same subdomain. Okay. And then the root domain is the exact same. And the only thing that's different is the domain extension. Okay. And then once again, the title variations were slightly different. All right. And so I built all 8 sites out. And it said that last week I was going to give every single 7 days, or every single time we have another training webinar. So every 7 days, I was going to give an update of indexing and search queries and that sort of thing. And so I've got a couple slides prepared for that today to show you the results. And I'm finding them kind of interesting already. All right. So we'll start off with this one. This was the .website. And guys, this was taken from Google Webmaster Tools. I've said many, many times, I use Google Webmaster Tools and Google Analytics. I do not, because I know I'm going to get this question again, I do not put all of my sites under one account. Okay, so this was 8 sites. I used 4 different Google accounts with 2 sites in each account. Okay, and I connected to Google Webmaster Tools. Then I connected to Google Analytics, and then I connected Google Analytics to Google Webmaster Tools. Okay, and that's going to give me my traffic data when I start getting more traffic. Right now, it's in the indexing phase. They're brand new sites, so we're not really getting any traffic yet. But if you take a look at this, this is the .website domain. Okay, and so this is the search queries. You can see that it's only displaying really 4 days here, because there's always a delay. These were just taken like 2 hours ago, by the way, these screenshots. But that's not showing the newest update for this was 2 days ago, or I guess 3 days ago. So this is only about 4 days worth of data. But you can see that this one actually is indexing really, really well, and I'm really surprised about that. But the .website domain extension is indexing at a higher rate than any of the other domains, and you'll see that in a minute. Now, I don't know why. That's weird. This is the first site I've ever built on a .website domain. I'll be honest with you, so I'm not sure, but that's interesting, and I wonder if that's going to hold true. By the way, I'm going to take the same 8 domains and build another set of sites on another subdomain targeting a different keyword. Okay, so I'm going to have more data to go by too. This is just the first batch. I'm probably going to end up building 4 or 5 sites on each domain, on separate subdomains. And that way I can track it. And if I see consistently that the .website is indexing better or ranking better or whatever the results show me, and that's going to give us a lot of insight into what we should be building going forward and have the great, the best likelihood of success. Okay. Now remember, there's always a randomness to everything that we do. So these are just going to be like data that should give us a tendency. One set of data, by the way, is not going to be enough. Like if I just did this one setup of sites, like that wouldn't be hard and fast rule. It wouldn't be law, right? It would just be some indicators. But if I end up building out, 5 or 6 sites on these same 8 domains on different subdomains, targeting different keywords, that sort of thing, but the same content across all 8 each time that I build, and we see, consistent results across some of the, in tracking this, then that's going to be a pretty solid indicator, okay, that we can repeat those results in other, other niches, if that makes sense. Okay. So anyways, this was that website. You can see 52 or 67 have been indexed already. It's been giving impressions for 53 queries, less than 10 clicks. That's fine. This is brand new. This site's only literally 8 days old. I built these sites on Wednesday of last week, so they're 8 days old, okay? You'll see the .info. The .info has not been given any impressions yet. There's 4,500 pages indexed, okay? It's been given no impressions yet. This is the .biz. The .biz has only 395 URLs indexed, so like pretty much nothing. What's interesting is out of those few that have been indexed, it's been given queries already. So let's back it up. Sorry. All right, the .us. This one is the not doing well at all, which I find interesting because I've had some really good success with .us and some other sites. But I mean, again, it's still too early to tell. This is just giving you the first week's update. But 512 URLs indexed, no queries. The .co is only 247 URLs and just under 10 queries. The .org is only 14 queries, only 294 URLs. I'm surprised. I was expecting the .org to perform better. And again, this is brand new, guys. In 2 weeks, it could be a whole nother ballgame. We're going to be looking at much different statistics in a couple weeks. .net, the .net's doing well. It's indexing fairly well, and it's been given some queries, not many impressions. I mean, for 10 queries already. And the .in, this is actually really surprising to me because I was expecting the .in to perform the worst, because when I did the case study, or not the case study, the demonstration or the site builds for the fashion jewelry, the pizzazz stuff, I used a .pw domain, which I found out was a top level, country domain, a country level domain. And it just would not index. And I'm assuming that it was because it was for another country, and it just, no matter what I did, I could not get it to index more than just a couple pages. And so I just assumed that this one would do the same thing, but actually it seems to be doing well, at least at the moment. We shall see as time goes on, okay? But I thought I'd share that. If there's any questions about that, let's see. I'm gonna actually drop the screen from the presentation because we don't need that anymore. That's better. All right, so we're going to go answer some questions if there's any questions. Bill Marks, Bradley, any plans to host a true FAQ portal to capture and leverage all of the questions and answers from the Skype thread, the Facebook group, the training, Don and Brian's videos, etc.? That would be great, Bill. Maybe that's going to be something that obviously is going to take a lot of time to put together and to develop. So, yeah, I'm assuming going forward that's going to be something we're going to be working on. In fact, I have a support tech with my coaching business. His name is Michael Bose. He's been a longtime student and member of my Semantic Mastery, my group, but we're actually bringing him in to lead Gadget to help out with support stuff. And he's good at organizing stuff, like, because he's been doing that with my business, Semantic Mastery, organizing FAQs and setting up, kind of just organizing like questions and answers and all that stuff. So that's something that he's coming over to start helping out, and we're going to put him on developing that kind of stuff. It's going to be a work in progress, though, Bill. But yeah, I totally agree. I think it's something that we're going to need. We're going to have more of a demand for that going forward than less of it, right? As more people come in. So yes, we will absolutely do that. It's just going to be a work in progress. So don't expect it to happen anytime soon. We'll start putting it together as soon as, right away, but it's going to take a while to develop. Would you speak to the process of utilizing subdomains on your main top level domain and how that process works from domain to domain for a particular keyword? Not sure I understand the question. Let's see. Would you speak to the process of utilizing subdomains on your main top level domain and how that process works from domain to domain for a particular keyword? Yeah, again, I'm not sure what you mean by what the question is for, Bill. If you can clarify that a little bit, like elaborate on the question, I'd be happy to answer it. Kenty says, Bradley, I'm glad that you showed the super spinning, and that is my kind of thing. I am sorry that you are not going to teach the advanced level. Hope you still teach it, if not in Lead Gadget. No disrespect to simple things that work or to Brian Prince. People follow the gurus when gurus teach what the followers want to do. So I'm definitely a fan and definitely will follow you. I like doing things complicated way. Brian Prince, you do not get to my age and not be a dog-headed. That's funny, Ganty. Loved what you taught in the last 2 webinars. Thank you for that. Yeah, so Ganty, yeah, the thing is, like I said, guys, again, I build my sites the way that I build them, and they work just fine. They work well. I can build a site out, and it takes anywhere between 27 minutes to about 55 minutes for me to build out a site for it to deploy, because I do use spun content and stuff. But and it's fairly, but it's done correctly, and it's just because I've done. And don't get me wrong, I've screwed some sites up where they've timed out, or I've had to bomb them and stuff like that. It's not like I've done it perfect every time, but I know what level to spin them at to be able to have them deploy in that amount of time. The problem is when I show other people that, then they go try to replicate that, and then they have issues, and it's not because they're stupid or anything. It's not like that at all. Maybe they just have less experience, or they made a mistake or whatever. And next thing you know, they go back and say, well, I'm just doing what Brad showed us to do. And that's not the case, because it's just, I show you what I do. So anyways, the thing is at least until we get some more things into place, that's something that I'm going to have to refrain from sharing. When I show site builds on publicly, the training is going to have to be more on a basic level to make just the builds go faster and easier for people anyways. That's the thing. We don't want to get hung up in the weeds. It's better just to produce more sites. That's the point that Brian was trying to make, and that Dawn have been trying to make. And that's where, we need you guys should be worrying about building more sites and not worrying about trying to get your site so damn unique. The spin level so high that everything's so unique. It's just better just pump out more sites. All right. And that's going to benefit everybody in the long run. So, maybe at some point, if you guys, maybe there will be some advanced trainings at times or something. I'm not going to swear to it, but maybe down the road, and we can get into some other stuff. So I feel your pain, Ganty, but it is what it is, and that's what it's going to be. So Ganty says, when you create a lot of subdomains, which is better? If the subdomains have more relevance from the same sub niche versus unrelated topics on the subdomain. It really doesn't matter, because the subdomains are going to be considered independent sites. The sites subdomains are considered independent entities in Google's mind, or Google's eyes. At least now they are. They have been. I don't work for Google, so I don't know how long that's going to last. But I don't think it's going to go any. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. It would wreak havoc on the web. Okay, but subdomains are considered independent entities. So if you have, subdomain sub A and sub B and sub C, and they've all got the same content on them, it really doesn't matter. I personally, what I like to do is to take, like here, let's go back to this slide for a minute. This is just what I like to do. But like, for example, if I have subdomain A across all 8 of these domains, okay, and I've got the same piece of content, like what this case study is set up for, right? So I got the same piece of content on all 8 subdomains of subdomain A. Then if I'm going to go build out subdomain B across all 8 sites, I will use a separate set of a separate piece of content so that it's unique from subdomain A. Does it make a difference? No, it really doesn't, because they're both independent entities. Subdomain A and subdomain B are still independent entities in Google's eyes. Okay, but that's just how I like to do it. But again, it really doesn't matter. If you guys just want to crank out like 10 sites on subdomain 1 through 10 on the same domain and use the same piece of content, do it. You know, it's not gonna harm anything. The thing is if one of your subdomain sites gets slapped, you just abandon it or bomb it. You can either bomb it, or you could just literally go delete it out of cPanel. And it's just gone, and you just go create a new subdomain, and you can put the same content back up, and it's not going to be affected, because the subdomain is, again, it's an independent entity. So when you delete it or bomb it, it's gone, right? If you were to build directly on the root domain, however, and let's say you built on the root domain and you had 4 subdomains also, and your root domain caught a penalty, all 4 of your root domain plus your 4 subdomains would all, you burn them all. They're gone. They're all gone. They've all been de-indexed or de-ranked. I don't know about being de-indexed. I don't think any of the Lead Gadget sites have been de-indexed, and I'll confirm that with Brian. But I don't think he's ever had one de-indexed. Had some penalized, yeah, but I don't think he's ever had any de-indexed. Don't quote me on that, but I'll find out. But if it catches an algorithmic penalty on the root domain, it's going to pull all the subs down too. That's the point. That's the reason why I do that. And I know I've mentioned that before. So again, unrelated topics to the subdomain, it doesn't matter. Like personally, what I like to do is like subdomain A will have one piece of content across all the domains. Subdomain B will have another piece of content, subdomain C, another piece, so on and so forth. But you could, just like I said, you could have subdomain 1 through 10 on one domain and have all the same content across all of them. It doesn't matter. If one of them catches a slap, just delete it, build subdomain 11, put it on there, and you're back in business. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Is there a way to connect all the subdomains with the main domain and make a super siloed site? No, I don't recommend that, because if you hard code or put a physical link between the subdomain and your root domain, then you're giving a pathway to pass a penalty. Does that make sense? I wouldn't recommend that. Like, I keep my subdomains as separate. Now, it depends on the type of build. For these type of sites, that's what I'm talking about. Like, if I'm building a blog subdomain on a client's website that's, you know, a local business client or something like that, that's different. Yeah, you can definitely use subdomains to build silos out. So, like, for example, you could have a different category or different theme on each subdomain. You can separate your subdomains by themes that way, and then you would absolutely link up to the root domain so that you're passing authority back up to the domain. But I would not recommend that for these sites. Keep each one of them separate, because these sites are so massive anyways, guys. Think about it. I mean, they're huge. These sites are just insanely big, and that's why they rank so good. If you want to make, Ganti, you want to pass a massive authority, wait until this update where we've got the internal linking structure. Okay, wait till that. Don't worry about interlinking between your subdomains. I would not recommend that. And I would not recommend linking from your subdomain up to the root. Just wait until the interlinking is available, which should be this week. And then set up your internal linking structure in your site build when you build the site. And that's going to give you the authority that you're looking for without endangering your other sites. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's clear. Okay. Bill, I think Bill is, yeah, okay, Bill's elaborated. So if I understand you correctly, you select a keyword for your domain, and then you choose 8 keyword variants from that keyword. Then you utilize the different keyword variants as subdomains on each of the separate TLD extensions, correct? Well, no, I mean, you could do that, Bill. That's not how I do it. Let me pull up I'll open up a notepad file and show you what I did exactly, okay? All right, let's see what the font level is. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this. All right, so let's say I have domain.website. Whoops, I can never talk and type. Okay, so domain.website, let's say domain.info, domain.com, and we'll do one more, domain.net. Okay, so let's say I have these 4 domains, so I'm using different extensions. Then what I would do is I would select the same in for the case study, Bill. For the case study, what I did was I just did the same subdomain across all of them. So in this case, it would be best dot domain. Everything is the exact same except for the extension for this particular case study. Okay, because the only thing that I did with the keywords was the titles. Because remember, I don't know if you guys know this, but these are the two most, the four most, the first four things that Google looks at when it comes to scan or crawl your page are these, and in this order. And I'm going to show this to you right now. SEO title, which is our content title that we set up when we're building the sites. Okay, the next thing it looks at is your URL. The next thing that it looks at is your page title, which is your H2, or it's actually your H1, but that's part of the build. When we build the sites, it's your H1, and then we usually, when we put in the content in the main body, we add the H2 or an H3. It really depends. H tags have been deprecated recently over the last year and a half, 2 years, so they're not given near as much weight as they used to be. But let me just explain what I'm talking about here. Let me finish this so I'm not confusing you guys. And the last thing that it looks for is meta description. And I know people that say that meta description does not matter for SEO anymore, and they're totally full of crap. And I know that because this is what basically Google's looking at when the first thing it does when it comes to scan your site is it looks at these four things, because it can be done very, very quickly, right? It looks at SEO title, that's your content title, and that's also what shows up in the search results. That's your meta title, right? SEO title number 1, URL number 2, page title number 3, which is your H tag, your opening H tag. By default, WordPress will make your page title for most themes. By default, it's H1, and then a lot of times we'll go in and put H2 in, and then meta description. And what it does is because you got to think of the server load for Google, right? For it to come crawl your entire page to make a decision about your page, that takes a lot of server resources. However, to quickly scan these four things, to categorize, to kind of put your page, the rest of the page, it's like a first impression. Google comes and crawls your page, and it looks at these four things, and it determines a first impression. And if you're over optimized in these four areas, like for example, if you have an exact match keyword here, an exact match URL slug, right, an exact match page keyword in your page title, and an exact match keyword in your meta description, then it's going to flag that page. It's like looking through dirty lenses. Like it's saying, okay, you know what, this page has clearly already been optimized, because it's very quick and easy to do that. Okay, does that make sense? So when I go out to build the multiple sites, like what I try to do is find a long tail variation. Like the most important thing, and again, I've got it listed in priority through tons of testing, is SEO title. So your exact match keyword should be your SEO title. Okay, but then your URL, I like to make my URLs as short and succinct as possible. And I like to keep my URLs non-optimized or unoptimized. Does that make sense? And so that's why you guys will see, like in the builds that I do, I typically will keep my short SEO title short, and in my URL, it is what it is, because of the way that we build with the ATMs. We don't have a lot of control over this, just because of the way that the sites build, right? But the page title, you'll notice there I'll use a LSI term. So in other words, a synonym, usually a lot longer tail in nature. And in my meta description, like in my meta descriptions, guys, I will put the keyword in there or a variation of it usually. And then like if we were using a local modifier, which we do mostly with the lead gadget sites, right? You know, like city, state, whatever. I'll put that in there, but it's not an exact match. In other words, the occurrence of both the keyword and the local modifier will be in the meta description, but not necessarily in that exact phrase, not a phrase match, right? It's more of a broad match. They just appear in the meta description, but not necessarily in order. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's clear. So when it comes to building out the sites, for the variations that I was doing, Bill, or what I tend to do is I tend to build sites in batches now. So like if I've got a list of keywords that I want to target, I'll usually select, like let's say I'm going to do a batch of 8 sites. I'll select 8 variations of my main keyword that I want to try to rank for, right? And I'll build each one of the sites with the same content on subdomains of different domains. And then what I'll do is I'll just change the SEO title. That's the only thing that I change, because the content, once I prepare the content for a site build, it's done. Like it's copy and paste. That's what the update that Don's coding in with being able to clone content. That's what I've been doing just on a notepad, right? So I prepare all my content and I'm able to just copy and paste all 8 sites. So it takes me a while, like an hour, hour and a half to prepare site number 1. But once site number 1's done, I can literally copy and paste for the rest. The only thing that I change is the SEO title. And the SEO title is going to be a different variation. So like I said, if I have 8 keywords that I'm trying to rank for, the SEO title or the content title, as it's displayed in the ATM, is going to be, each one of those is going to, well, one of those variations of that keyword. So if I've got 8 variations, each one of those sites is going to be a separate variation. And that's how I do it. Okay. And for the subdomain, you know, typically I'll try to get, you know, try to make the subdomain related and somehow, you know, like for example, if I was selling, I don't know, let's just say red widgets, then maybe I'd have like red items.com or something like that. Because a lot of times I'm not using an exact match domain, because once again, if you use an exact match domain, and guys, the lead gadget sites play by different rules. So what I'm telling you right here is from years of experience in SEO. But again, some of these lead gadget sites, it's like they have a different set of rules that they abide by because they're so big and massive. So like I said, I know that I still practice as much of this as I can, but there are some limitations to being able to have that control, which is fine because they're still performing really, really well, right? But that's my point. So anyways, my point is, like, I try not to use exact match domains either. Like I try to get like one keyword, like a partial match domain, if that makes sense, which makes it easy because a lot of exact match domains are taken, right? So when we go out to buy domains, a lot of times it's hard to find exact match domains. I don't care about that because the domain, to me, I actually wish that I could unoptimize the URL more, like de-optimize it more. But we can't just because of the way the site's built. So that's fine. So instead, I don't buy exact match domains. I buy maybe partial match domains, and it makes them a lot more, their availability greater anyways. Does that make sense? So for like red widgets, I might actually build I might buy items.com because, you know, red widgets, I don't want the exact match domain. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if I'm being clear. Anyway, so hopefully that makes sense. You can do this, Bill. You can use keyword variants and ones, but once again, now you're getting into close to exact match domains. And you know, I personally don't like using exact match domains because it's too easy to trip that over optimization filter when you've got an exact match domain. Okay. But again, if you've been testing this and you're doing well with it, then just ignore everything I just said. Okay, guys. I mean, that's the number one. That's the name of the game, guys. Is just get out there and build more and test more. Right. I'm just showing you what I do, and I'm having really good success with a lot of these sites. And I've got to answer a question for Big Happy for Kevin that he posted earlier today in the Facebook group. So I'm going to get to that in just a moment because we're going to be wrapping up in about 15 minutes. Ganty says, do you in any way or fashion link your main domain with the subdomains? Like, can I redirect the traffic from the main domain to my subdomains? Okay, I think I know your answer. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, I don't build on the main domain. Like, if I do, it's not for traffic. It's not for generating traffic or for ranking. It's just a placeholder. Like, I put an HTML page up, which is easy. I'll just upload an HTML file to the root of that domain. Or I'll put a WordPress on it. And a lot of times I'll even put a coming soon page plugin on the WordPress site to where, like, if somebody lands on the main root domain, it just says under construction or coming soon or something like that. So typically, no, I do not. Because once again, you're providing a pathway to connect all the dots. Like, again, remember, Google looks at your subdomains as separate entities. So guys, don't let all this stuff confuse you. Honest to God, don't let it confuse you. That's not my intent. I'm just telling you the reason why I build on subdomains is to keep my site safe. And so I can get a hell of a lot more mileage out of a domain. Because if anything happens to any of the subdomains, I can just abandon it and rebuild on another subdomain instead of having to buy a new domain. Does that make sense? It's just a hell of a lot easier, in my opinion. It's safer, but don't let this confuse you guys. If you want to build on root domains and you've got budget for, to keep buying domains, and do it, But again, Ganti, I try to keep my entity separate because otherwise, if you connect the dots for Google, then it comes by and slaps one of your sites on a subdomain or on the root. It's going to slap it. If you connect the dots for it, it's going to make it that much more likely that it's going to punish the rest of those sites because they're connected. Okay, but just look at, I don't recommend that, if that makes sense. Okay. Yes. Bill, you've got it. That's exactly how I did it right here. Just like that for this case study. And that's how I'm doing it going forward. I'm building sites in batches just like you see it here. And if this works, then use your same formula again, but with another content for the next set of builds. That is absolutely right. You nailed it, Bill. You've got it 100%. That's exactly how I'm building right now, is I'm building in batches just like that. And each one of these subdomains here is a different variation. Like the domain structure is the same on all, in the batches that I'm doing. But what I'm doing is the content is actually the same, but I'm changing the title to target the various keywords, right? So like I said, I'll usually find 8 or 10 keyword variants that I want to try to rank for. And so each one of those sites will be based, the SEO title, the content title will be built upon one of those variants of keyword titles. That makes sense. Okay. That's exactly how I'm doing it. And I'm doing really well. And guys, like I said, what I'm finding interesting, and this will get into Big Happy's question too, is that these sites are great for discovery and for keyword discovery and just research in general. Because I start building the sites thinking, okay, you go through the keyword tools and you harvest keywords. You decide, okay, hey, these are what the tools are showing me that are getting traffic, blah blah blah. Then you go out and you build your sites, and if you have them connected to Webmaster Tools or something that will show you your keywords that you're ranking for, or that you're getting traffic from, and you're giving impressions for, you're getting clicks for, then something amazing happens. You start seeing these keyword phrases that you're getting traffic for that never appeared in your keyword research, and that gives you that should alert you to, hey, wait a minute, here's pockets of traffic that are probably untapped because they're not showing in the keyword tools. Now let me go out and build some sites targeting those keywords. And let me give you some examples, guys. I've got some of these are some of the SEO sites that I put together as demonstrations for you guys in the training, well, plus to drive traffic into my coaching business, right? And so this is one of them. This is probably one of the first ones that I did. You could see if I click on search queries, this one's only had 10 clicks. This one's performing very poorly. I think this is the SEO training one. This is probably the first site that I did. So there's a lot of, I built it. It was very poorly built in my opinion because I was still learning. I'm still learning now, so don't get me wrong. But you can see that it's been given impressions for 112 different queries. And if we go open this up, and that's not very much. 112 is actually low because this site's got, some history. It's probably 2 months old. But you can see that the type of keywords that I was getting ranked for. And I'm pretty sure that this was the SEO training site. Let's just go. Let's see. This one was how to. So if you take a look, it's how to learn SEO. So basically what the keyword that I was targeting here was how to learn SEO. And this keyword is not generating very much traffic. Okay. So you can see that it's showing. Here comes Todd Gross. There's Todd Gross. You can see that this one's performing very poorly. But if I go back to top queries and I come and take a look at this, and I can sort by this way, you can see that I'm ranking for some of these keywords here. Okay. And it showed me some interesting keywords that I hadn't thought of to rank for before. Okay. And you can see some of them here, and I'll show you this where I can reinforce this in just a moment. But keyword optimization plus city, you see that that's coming up here, and you'll see a lot more in just a minute when I show you another one of the sites. But so that's the first one. I put these in order in graduating traffic, and you'll see this is one of the newest sites that I built. I think this is probably the backlinks site. I'm pretty sure it is. Let me double check it. Yeah, this is backlinks.sexyseo.co. This is the most recent SEO site that I built. And I started targeting this keyword, which was SEO backlinks plus city, right? That was the main variant of the keyword that I started targeting. And I wouldn't have thought to start building after that until one of my other sites, which was the webinar site. Let's see which one that is. I believe that's this one. Just give me a minute because I want you guys to see the logic behind this. Yeah, that was this one. Okay, so this one's webinars.sexyseo or sexyseo.co. Okay, that's the domain that I built this one on. This one's getting 113 clicks. So that's what? It's almost 4 clicks per day, right? And I mean, that's not huge, guys, but that's not bad either, especially considering that, the type of keyword that I'm going after, right? So roughly 4 clicks per day, okay? And what's interesting is when I built this site I've had for, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 weeks now. when I built this site and I started looking at what it was ranking for and getting traffic for, look at the, see, I'm number one for all these phrases over here, but look what I kept noticing: SEO backlinks plus city, SEO backlinks plus city. If you just scroll down through here, look, SEO backlinks Pittsburgh, PA, SEO backlinks Bismarck, SEO backlinks Vacaville, I guess, SEO backlinks Nome. Like, you can see that, and I hadn't built a site on that. And I said, oh, wait a minute. There's a pocket of traffic here. This keyword keeps coming up over and over and over again. SEO backlinks plus city. So I said, I'm going to go build a site on that. And so that's what I'm saying. In my initial keyword research, guys, I had a list of keywords: how to SEO, or how to learn SEO, SEO training, SEO classes in, city, whatever. Several different keywords that I started to build out on, and because of the research. And then all of a sudden, with building these sites, it did the research for me. And it's like keyword discovery, right? It's starting to show me these pockets of traffic or these keywords that I can rank for with little to no competition, that I would have never known these had I not built these sites and had it connected to Google Webmaster Tools. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's clear. But you can see that this one's showing, again, 4 clicks per day, and it started showing me SEO backlinks. So what I did was I built a site, and that's this one here. Like, let me just show you the site. Just open this up in another tab. While that's loading, I'll go back to top queries. This one is sexy backlinks, right? So you can see SEO backlinks plus city. That's what I'm targeting on this site, because I discovered that through looking at this data over here. But now let's take it a step further. Now that I've got this site built, even though it's brand new, like this site just started receiving traffic 2 weeks ago. You see that? Just started receiving impressions 2 weeks ago. So this is a new site, and you can see that the impressions are starting to really jump now as the site continues to index more. And I expect that I'm going to get a lot of traffic on this site, or a lot of clicks, because of what I saw with the data over here from this site, right? Does that make sense? So anyways, if we take a look at this, now I'm going to open this one up to 500 rows. I'm going to sort by position. Now take a look what keeps coming up here. You know what? Maybe that was another one of the sites. There's another site that I was looking at. It must be one of the other sites that I'm looking at. Let's take a look at this one, see which one this is. Open this up. It's showing me keyword optimization plus city, which I thought was interesting, because I would have never thought to build sites for keyword optimization plus city. Like, who searches that stuff? Well, apparently a lot of people do, because I'm seeing that a lot in the data. It might be this one. Let me check this one. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is it. So this one right here, this site, I don't remember which site this one is, but the thing is I keep seeing keyword optimization plus city, keyword optimization plus city. We scroll down through here, keyword optimization plus city. You see that, guys? So I have the content ready to build out on some keyword terms. I just haven't done it yet. Does that make sense? And so on the next build, once I build out that site, I'll monitor that. And when I find these keywords that keep coming up, like here's another one, there's another version of it, right? Keyword optimization, GNOME, whatever. It's just interesting to see that, because I would have never thought to have built on that. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's clear. Anyways, I want to move on because I got some questions to answer for Big Happy still. Keyword selection, which do you do? Which one do you give a lot of weight? 1 word, 2 words, long tail, the search volume, the AdWords click value, or a formula that calculates the dollar value for clicks, like the volume, the AdWords click times value equals total click value is given to Market Samurai. No, I honestly, Ganti, as long as I've been doing this, I just look at those metrics as a guide, because a lot of that stuff, remember, all the keyword data, guys, is based on pay-per-click stuff. And for those of you doing AdSense and stuff, that that's great. Absolutely, you want to look at like high dollar clicks and stuff like that. For what I do for driving traffic, I honestly don't care about all that stuff personally. And again, it depends on your strategy. I'm just telling you, for my strategy, I use them for traffic more than anything. I've never even built an AdSense site. Well, I'm not with Lead Gadget yet, anyways. With the ATM site. So, and I know that there's some people just crushing it with that. So I'm looking at getting into that eventually. But right now, I'm still just driving traffic. And so for driving traffic, I could care less about all that stuff. And honestly, I've found that some of the best keywords in recent months that I've been able to rank and drive traffic with are the keywords that you find with Google Suggest. because they don't have historical data. They're not showing up in keyword tools, but they're driving traffic because they're showing up in Google Suggest, which means when people are clicking them, because people are lazy. Not only that, but in mobile search, guys, when you look at when you go to Google in mobile on a mobile device and you start to search, what happens? Google Suggest takes up half the screen, right? And then the keyboard takes up another half of the screen. So there's like nothing left. There's no regular search area left. So Google Suggest is huge for mobile, driving traffic via mobile device. And so that's why pretty much all the keywords that I mine now, or I harvest keywords, are coming from Google Suggest. And that's why I use what I've been using, which is Power Suggest Pro. But that's going to be available in the ATM, this week. There's the Google Suggest tool. So those are the best keywords for driving traffic, in my opinion. And they're generally, Ganti, long tail. They're long tail terms. And that's what I've been going after, is the long tail stuff. And then, like I said, I use Webmaster Tools as my discovery. Once I've got some sites built, I use the data that it provides to go out and build more sites on those keywords, because it reveals keywords that aren't that are generating traffic by data. They're generating traffic, yet might not show up in my regular keyword research. Does that make sense? All right, so let me jump over to Big Happy's question, and then we're going to wrap it up, guys, because it's about that time. Let me jump into Facebook 1 second. Whoops, wrong group. I got to find it. I should have had it saved. Let's see. This is it. 1 minute with Bradley. Kevin Big Happy. This one's for you, buddy. And you have been letting me off the hook this last week, but thank you, because it's springtime and I still have a lot of clients, and it's off. Like, this is the time where it just is crazy, because everybody had all winter long to order more marketing services, and they wait until it starts to get nice outside, and then everybody wants everything done yesterday. And I'm just so swamped right now. It's ridiculous. I've not had near as much time to do stuff that I want to do. So I'm doing client work, and clients suck. Sorry, but this is a broad subject, so I'll narrow it down as much as I can. Bradley, could you share 3 ways you can see using ATM to benefit your local SEO efforts? Thanks in advance. Yes, and perfect, great question, Kevin. What I'm using it for is what I just showed you guys to begin with here, or just a moment ago, is I'm using it for keyword discovery for local stuff. So, for example, I'll show you guys this one, and these are national terms, and I'm driving traffic in from anywhere in the country into my SEO funnel. I could care less where they're from, but I do a lot of local. Most of my business is local. Outside of my coaching business, I have a local client consulting and a lead gen business, local lead gen business, and that's what I've been doing for 5 years, right? And so what I'm doing with these sites now is I'm building sites out on my keyword terms plus city modifiers. And then I'm using Google Webmaster Tools to identify where I'm ranking very quickly and easily with no off-page SEO, right? I'm just building the sites and deploying them. That's it. And then I connect them to Google Webmaster Tools and the analytics. I start to get them indexed, give them about 30 days to season, and then I go check the data. Well, I check the data more than just, I don't wait 30 days, but by the time 30 days has passed, I usually have enough data to be able to go sort by average position, like you just see here, right? For example, if we come back over here, this is the webinars, SEO webinars one that I have. And look at this, guys. I mean, just one after another, where if I scroll down, we don't even get to page 2 of the search results until right here. And there's 500, until right here, actually. There's 500 results on this page, and look how far down we are. So, I mean, we're looking at like 4 out of 500 terms on page 1, right? And what that does is it identifies to me areas that I can go build like lead gen type sites, like not just the lead gadget sites. I know I can go dominate for these keywords. Does that make sense? If I'm able to rank on page 1 in the top 10 with a ATM build site that has no external backlinks whatsoever, right? And I'm able to rank for it, then I know that now, hey, I've identified where I'm already ranking for this with no external backlinks. So if I go in and now I want to build a standard traditional style site, silo it out, put some content, target multiple keywords around that niche for that area, I know that I'm going to dominate. Or I can go in and I can rank a YouTube video very quickly, or a Web 2 property, WordPress.com or Tumblr or a Rebel Mouse or something like that. I can go in and a Weebly site, something that I can put up very, very quickly and rank it very, very quickly, or I can rank several properties. And that's what I like to do is I like to end up taking up 5, 6, 7, 8 spots on page one by going in and ranking a YouTube video, a WordPress.com, a blogger, a Tumblr, a Rebel Mouse, my own WordPress site, rank all of those things very quickly and easily because the ATM, the Lead Gadget site, was able to reveal to me the low-hanging fruit. So that's number one. I'm crushing it with that right now because I'm able to find these pockets of like no competition that have value to local businesses. And then I'll go in and just put up several other properties and just say, hey, look, I've got half the page of Google, half of page one available for rent or pay per lead basis, whatever it is that I work out to monetize that traffic, if that makes sense. Okay. Let's see. I got to finish answering that question. That was one of 3 ways you see ATM to benefit your local SEO efforts. Yeah. The other thing is being able to build these sites and then redirect traffic. I know there's the WP Overlayer plugin that's already installed when you guys, but that's like a site-wide thing. Like when you turn on WP Overlayer, then when you insert the link that it overlays to, like that's site-wide. There's also some other plugins that will do that on a more of a page-by-page basis. I'm not promoting anybody's stuff here for that. I'm just telling you that there are other plugins that do it. The one that I've got is called Reniserp, and it does it where I can drive traffic with other people's, So in other words, these pages here that I find that I've got ranked, I can put the overlay a customer's or for example, if I go out and build my own lead gen site now, like a more traditional style site, then I can put the overlay my site on top of these pages. Does that make sense? So it's not only to identify low-hanging fruit, but I can also use these pages then to drive traffic back to whatever property that I want. Does that make sense? So, and essentially, you don't even have to build your own property at that point. You could lay your clients, if you have a client, you could lay your client's website on top of it, right? Does that make sense? You could literally take your client's web URL. I don't recommend that because I recommend you own your own assets. You should control your assets. When you do client work, guys, you're building your client's assets. You're getting paid to do it, yes. But if at some point the client decides to stop paying you, then you're SOL. You walk away. You got paid for while you were working on it, but you don't get to keep the fruits of your labor. That's why I recommend personally, and this is not, this is my theory, but it's to always build your own assets and then lease your assets out. At least that way, if somebody stops paying you, you still own the asset and you can find somebody else that will pay you. Does that make sense? You keep control that way. It's a much more safer business model, in my opinion. The last way to benefit local SEO efforts for the Lead Gadget sites is, just generate leads. I mean, that's the thing. If you've got the last way that I would do it, I haven't been doing this yet because I've still got a lot of really immature sites. In other words, sites that don't have a lot of age, Kevin, is that when you find these pages here, you can go, or these posts that you've ranked for, you can go in, if you're doing lead gen especially, and go change the SEO title and put like a banner specific to those pages and things like that on the pages with phone numbers that you control. So like lead gen, like go out and buy virtual phone numbers, Callfire, ACT, analytic call tracking, Twilio, whatever you could buy. There's a ton of different ways to get virtual phone numbers that you can forward. And that's what I'm doing with those two. Like, I've been doing lead gen for years anyways. But that's another option that you have is once you've identified pages, like for example, let's just go take a look. If we looked at SEO backlinks, let's say that I wanted to sell this instead of driving people into my funnel for SEO training, let's say that I wanted to say I built backlinks. Like let's say I had a link building service, and I do, but I'm not looking to do link building for local clients. But if I did want to, you could see that I've got several. I've got number one. This is for SEO backlinks Pittsburgh, PA, and I know that this term has been searched because I've seen it in the Google Webmaster Tools. And look, I own 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I own 5 out of 10 positions on page one. So if I was doing it, like let's say that this was I don't know, house painting Pittsburgh, VA. or PA, I mean, then I could literally put change the SEO title tag here to include a phone number. Once the site has been built, right? I can go in and say, okay, look, these are the pages that have been ranked over here. I know I'm ranked #1 for these phrases. I can go run a local number local to that area, go change the title tag, the SEO title, which is in the all-in-one SEO plugin. Go to that specific post, change the SEO title to include the phone number. I could put a stronger call to action in my meta description. And then I could also put, if somebody clicks through to that page, this is a tag page, so that's slightly different, although you could still do it. Click through to the page and put, you know, a banner on that page or whatever, where I, with a phone number, and essentially try to get the call. And in the call, I could redirect to wherever I want it and sell that lead. Does that make sense? Or rent that space. You can do that too. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Those are the 3 ways that I'm using them for local SEO or for local business stuff. And I know there's other ways to, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and that's just the way that I've been doing. All right, we're already over, so I'm going to run through these last couple questions, and that's it. Let's see. Bill Mark says, go over the use of Google AC linkage to AdWords, Google account, linkage to AdWords to Google Webmaster Tools for monitoring 8 domains, 4 Google accounts, 8 top-level domains. Yeah, that's all I'm doing. So what I did was here, I'll just go. Yeah, I have 8 domains, right? So all I did was I just put, I don't ever like to put more than 4 or maybe 5 max websites in any one Webmaster Tools account as the owner. Me, Bradley Benner, all right, I can be the manager of as many accounts as I want. I've got dozens of sites in my Webmaster Tools account, but I'm not the owner of all of them. I'm just also, I've been added as a manager. So what I like to do is take no more than you know, especially like 2 sites for one niche, and put them in, especially these sites. I don't like to do more than like 2 sites in one niche per Google account. So essentially the 8 that I've got for this case study here, I've got these 2 in one Google account, these 2 in another, these 2 in another, and so on and so forth, right? And then all I do is so I've got, you know, I've just got multiple Google accounts. I got, you know, hundreds of persona accounts that I use for my other, you know, my SEO business. So I just grab one of the personas accounts, and I go to Webmaster Tools and add the site, put the HTML tag to verify the site. Once the site's verified, now I submit the site maps. I submit it to the index. I submit the homepage and the directory page to the index to be crawled. It's called fetch and render. If you guys, here, I'll show you what I mean. In Webmaster Tools, if you go over to crawl, you submit your sitemaps here, and then also fetches Google. If you go to fetches Google, you just click fetch and render. You can see I've got the 2 pages that I always submit are the home page, which is just right here. You just click fetch and render. You wait till it's done. Then there'll be a button over here that says submit to index. Click on that. And there's also the directory page. And the directory page is actually just a page that displays the categories. And excuse me. And the reason why I like to use the directory page is because it has a link to all of the categories, and the categories have a link to all of the posts. So it's just a good place to tell the bots to go crawl so that they can spider your whole site. Okay. And then from there, I connect it to Google Analytics, and then you connect Analytics to Webmaster Tools. And you do that from inside the Analytics dashboard, and it gives me all the data that I need. And again, guys, I've added all of, like, look, I'm logged into Bradley Benner, right? You can see my icon up here. This website, the Google Webmaster Tools owner account is under one of my personas, right? But then all I did was just add myself as a manager so that I can access these sites from my main account, because otherwise it becomes a pain in the ass to have to log out and log into different accounts all the time, right? But I just, when I set it up, I do it under somebody else's account, right? And then I just put myself as the owner, if that makes sense, if you guys are clear on that. All right, we're about out of time, guys. I'm asking for the keyword question for the affiliate marketing site, CPA, ClickBank, and other. I'm asking the keyword question. Okay. Keyword selection. Which one do you give a lot of weight? 1 word, 2 words, long tail, search volume. Ganti, my first answer still stands. Honestly, what I do now is I'm using Google Suggest for all my keyword research. And then whatever I find in Google Suggest, I know there's traffic on those keywords. I don't care if it has metrics or not, which it won't. A lot of the keywords, most of the keywords that come out of Suggest are not going to have CPC costs, cost per click costs. They're not going to have traffic metrics, nothing. But I know they get traffic because they show up in Suggest. So I don't care about all that. So I'm using Google Suggest for all my keywords now. And then once I build the sites, I use Webmaster Tools to also discover more keywords. Hopefully that makes sense, man. I'm sorry I don't have like some analytical like formula for finding keywords. Honestly, I've done that kind of stuff in the past, and I'm finding better results using Suggest, and it's freaking fast and easy. Okay, and you guys, we're all going to have that ability in the ATM here in the next day or two. So, anyways, guys, we're already beyond. I will tag Kevin on this answer and timestamp it for you, Kevin, if you're not watching it already. And I will see you guys. I will see you all next week. Thanks for being here. And if you have any other questions, post them in the Facebook community, and I'll get to them. Bye.